The Grand Hall of the Galactic Council was built to make visitors feel small. Its ceiling rose higher than the tallest towers on Earth, covered in glowing lines that shifted like living constellations. Delegates from 100 species filled the curved seats, each one watching the center platform where the humans stood. Humanity was still new to this council, still learning the rules, still earning respect, or at least trying to. Captain Marcus Hale stood at the center with a calm, patient expression. He was tall, broad-shouldered, and carried himself with quiet confidence. Even when other species tried to belittle Earth, he refused to respond with anger. He preferred to listen, wait, and speak only when he had something meaningful to say. Today, though, something was wrong. The room felt tense, and Marcus could see several representatives whispering behind their masks and scales. The Varkathi Empire delegation had been unusually smug from the moment they entered. Their leader, High Marshal Zorvan Kathul, stood proudly at the podium, his armor polished to a mirror shine. The Varkathi were known for their strict military culture, their sharp claws, and their even sharper pride. Marcus could feel the trap before it was even sprung. The High Marshal gave a thin smile, showing metal-capped fangs. "Captain Hale of Earth," he said loudly. "The Varkathi Empire recognizes your species' enthusiasm in joining this council." The word enthusiasm was spoken like an insult. Marcus nodded politely. "Humanity is honored to be here." "Grace." "Yes, I am sure you are." The High Marshal raised a hand, and the doors at the side of the hall opened. Someone stepped out. A woman. She was tall, with silver-blue skin and dark hair tied in a tight warrior's braid. Her posture was perfect, her expression calm, controlled. She wore a sleek Varkathi officer uniform, the type reserved for high-ranking military members. The golden lines on her armor showed she was elite. Marcus felt the hall shift. Many delegates leaned forward, whispering, confused. The Varkathi had brought an officer? The High Marshal's smile widened. "This," he announced proudly, "is Commander Saylara Vesh, one of our finest warriors." Saylara kept her eyes forward, but Marcus noticed a subtle tightness in her jaw. She didn't want to be here. She hadn't chosen this. "Our empire," the Marshal continued, "wishes to offer a symbolic gesture." He paused for dramatic emphasis, enjoying the attention. "We present Commander Saylara Vesh as a gift to humanity." A loud murmur exploded around the hall. Even species who disliked humans looked shocked. A gift? A person? Marcus felt a cold anger rise in his chest. The Varkathi were not offering goodwill. They were making a mockery, a political insult disguised as generosity. To them, humans were still primitive, still uncivilized. This gesture was meant to humiliate, to show that the Varkathi could hand over one of their own, as if humans were too foolish to understand the cruelty of it. Saylara stood perfectly still, her face unreadable. But Marcus saw something in her eyes. Shame, maybe, or perhaps fury carefully hidden behind discipline. The High Marshal went on. "Commander Vesh will now serve under human command, a symbol of our empire's generosity to a younger species. May she bring you wisdom, or at least decoration." Laughter echoed from the Varkathi seats. Marcus took a slow breath. Every instinct told him to shout back, to accuse them of cruelty. But he was here to represent Earth, and Earth needed diplomacy more than pride. He stepped forward. "High Marshal, humanity does not accept ownership of any person. Not today. Not ever. High Marshal. High Marshal. Humanity does not." He stepped forward. The hall went silent. Even the Marshal's smirk faded. Marcus continued, his voice steady and clear. "Commander Saylara Vesh is not a gift. She is a living being, an officer, and deserves respect. If she has been sent here under orders, then we welcome her as a colleague. If she has been sent here unwillingly..." He glanced at Saylara, softening his voice. "Then humanity offers her freedom. Gasps rippled across the chamber. A few species even gave small nods of approval. Sailara's eyes widened a fraction. That was the first sign of emotion she'd shown. The High Marshal's face twisted. Freedom? You presume too much, human. She was assigned to you. That is all. 1. Marcus held his ground. Then let Commander Vesh speak for herself. The hall turned toward her. Saylara hesitated. For a second, she looked truly uncertain. The Varkathi Empire did not encourage open speech. Commanders followed orders, no matter what. Yet here she was, standing in front of the entire council, being asked her own will for perhaps the first time in her life. She stepped forward slowly. Her voice, when she spoke, was quiet but sharp. I was not told the full purpose of my assignment. She paused, choosing her words with care. But if the choice is mine, then I will serve with the humans. Not as property, as an officer, and only until I understand why my empire has done this. The hall erupted in whispers again. Marcus gave her a respectful nod. Then we will work together. On equal terms. Something changed in Sailara's expression, just a small shift, but enough to show relief. The High Marshal slammed his fist onto the podium. This is unacceptable. She is Varkathi property. Marcus's voice hardened. On Earth, there is no such thing. Before the argument could escalate, a sudden alarm screamed through the chamber. Red lights flashed across the walls. Delegates jumped from their seats in panic. Security drones activated and swarmed toward the ceiling. A mechanical voice echoed. Warning. Unknown ship detected. Defensive shields compromised. Evacuate the Grand Hall. Marcus immediately shifted into action mode. Saylara. This way. To his surprise, she didn't hesitate. She followed him at a sprint, her instincts snapping into place like a blade unsheathed. Whatever else she was, Saylara Vesh was a warrior. Explosions rocked the hall. Panels fell from the ceiling. Delegates ran blindly, trying to find escape routes. Marcus grabbed Sailara's arm as the ground trembled. Emergency docks are below. We need to reach them. Saylara glanced upward, her eyes narrowing. That attack. Those are Varkathi plasma signatures. Marcus froze. Your own empire? No, she said quickly. Not officially, but a faction inside it. Someone wants chaos today. Another blast hit the outer wall, sending a shockwave through the floor. Saylara grabbed Marcus's wrist and pulled him behind a fallen pillar just before a burning fragment crashed where he had been standing. She was strong. Very strong. Thanks, he said breathlessly. She nodded once. Stay close, human. Together, they pushed through smoke, debris, and terrified crowd. Saylara moved with precision. Guiding Marcus down narrow maintenance corridors she seemed to map instantly. She wasn't just trained, she was exceptional. When they finally reached the emergency dock, Marcus's ship, the Aurora, was waiting. Engines hot, crew scrambling to secure the ramp. Lieutenant Parker shouted, Captain, hurry! Shields are dropping! Marcus glanced at Saylara. Coming? She hesitated only a heartbeat, her eyes filled with conflict. Behind them, another explosion echoed, shaking dust from the ceiling. Yes, she said finally. Until I know why my people wanted this chaos, I stand with you. And the two ran onto the ship together as the dock doors slammed shut behind them. The Aurora launched into the burning sky, leaving the collapsing council hall below, and marking the beginning of an alliance no one had expected. The Aurora shot through the upper atmosphere of the council planet, leaving clouds of smoke behind. Alarms blinked across the control panels, and the engines hummed with high stress. Inside the ship, the crew hurried to their stations, speaking quickly into their headsets as they fought to stabilize the flight. Captain Marcus Hale dropped into his command chair. His voice stayed calm, even though the situation was anything but. Status report. Lieutenant Parker wiped sweat from her brow. Shields at 30%, Captain. Navigation is rerouting us away from the hostile ship. We need a safe orbit. Marcus nodded. Do it. He turned to Salara Vesh, who was standing beside him, her posture straight, her eyes sharp. Even after the chaos of the attack, she looked controlled, focused. But inside her, something stormed. She was a Varkathi officer. She was trained to follow orders, to trust, command, without question. Yet today, her own people, or at least a faction inside her empire, had attacked a neutral world and endangered her life. That act crossed every line of honor she believed in. And now she was on a human ship. Not as a captive, not as a trophy, but as someone who had chosen to stand with them. She wasn't sure how she felt about that yet. Marcus watched her with quiet curiosity. Commander Vesh, anything you can tell us about the attackers? Salara took a slow breath. Their energy signatures are Varkathi, yes. But the patterns, they belong to a group called the Iron Mandate. Parker frowned. Never heard of them. Most haven't. Salara said. They are extremists. They believe the Empire must control the galaxy again at any cost, even if it means violating treaties. Marcus tapped his fingers on the armrest. So, they use the council meeting as a cover, a way to create chaos and blame humans or someone else? Salara nodded grimly. Exactly. The ship shuddered as a shockwave passed nearby. Alerts flashed briefly, then stabilized. Marcus leaned forward. Can they follow us? No, Salara said. The Mandate uses heavy ships. Strong, but slow. They wouldn't be able to match the maneuverability of a vessel like this. Marcus allowed himself a small breath of relief. Good. Then we get to orbit and regroup. Salara looked at him carefully. Her eyes were sharp, unreadable. You are very calm for someone who was nearly destroyed. He gave a quiet smile. It's part of the job. She tilted her head, studying him. Most species panic in unexpected danger. Humans panic too, Marcus said modestly. We just do it privately. A faint, almost invisible smile touched her lips, only for a moment. When the Aurora finally reached stable orbit, the mood aboard the ship shifted. The immediate danger had passed, but questions hung heavy in the air. The crew whispered among themselves, stealing glances at the Varkathi officer who now walked their halls. Some were nervous, some curious. Salara felt their eyes. She understood their concern. To them, she was both a stranger and a symbol, someone who should have been their captor, yet instead was standing among them as an ally. Marcus approached her quietly. There's something I need to ask, Commander. Salara faced him. Yes, Captain? That attack, was it meant to kill you too? Or were you never supposed to leave the Council alive? Salara hesitated. She had already considered that terrifying possibility. The Iron Mandate does not value individuals, she said slowly. Even officers. If sacrificing me helps their plan, they will not hesitate. Marcus grimaced. Then you're safer here. Do. The idea unsettled her. Safer among humans than among her own people? It felt wrong. But today had shown her that the empire she trusted could also betray. Perhaps, she said quietly. Marcus changed the subject. I'd like to give you a tour of the ship. It may help you understand us better. Salara paused. Her instinct was to refuse. But she also knew she needed information, and understanding humans might be the only way to survive whatever political disaster was unfolding. Very well, she said with a nod. The ship corridors were clean and simple. Humans preferred practicality over aesthetic design, something that confused Salara at first. Varkathi ships were built for intimidation, with sharp lines and glowing displays meant to show power. The Aurora, by contrast, felt warm, functional, and strangely welcoming. Marcus walked beside her. "We're not a warship," he explained. "Humanity still prefers peace when possible. This ship is built for diplomacy and exploration." Selara ran her fingers along a smooth railing. "Your materials are less durable than Varkathi alloys." Marcus chuckled. "Yes, but easier to repair." "Oh." She gave him a thoughtful glance. "You humans survive by adapting. Even our emperors respect that. I'll take that as a compliment." He stopped at a transparent window overlooking the stars. Bright clusters shimmered in the distance. Selara stood silently for a moment, staring out. "Where I am from," she said softly, "the stars are symbols of conquest. Our ancestors believed they were born to rule them." "And you?" Marcus asked gently. Selara exhaled. "I was taught the same, but I am not sure I believe it anymore." The confession surprised even her. Marcus didn't push her further. He simply said, "Sometimes questioning old beliefs is how you grow." She looked at him with curiosity again. Humans were different, honest in strange ways. They reached the training deck next. A group of human officers were practicing maneuvers with small handheld drones. Selara watched them move quick, agile, improvisational. Humans didn't fight like Varkathi soldiers. They moved unpredictably, adapting faster than expected. It made them harder to anticipate. One of the officers, Ensign Rafi, noticed Selara watching and stiffened nervously. Captain? Should we stop?" Marcus smiled. "No need. Commander Vesh is just observing." Rafi swallowed. Selara stepped closer. "Your formation is good," she said, "but your left flank opens too wide." Rafi blinked at her. "Oh. Thank you?" Marcus whispered. "You just made his day." Selara raised a brow. "Why?" "Humans like compliments," he said simply. She considered that. Another odd trait to note. Later, Selara joined the crew for a meal in the common room. Humans laughed, shared stories, and passed dishes around the table. Everything smelled warm and comforting. Breads, spices, vegetables, so different from the strict, nutrient-measured meals of Varkathi culture. Selara sat stiffly at first. She wasn't used to casual gatherings, but Parker leaned toward her with a friendly smile. "Want to try something?" she asked, offering a plate. Selara studied the food. "What is it?" "Cinnamon rolls," Parker said proudly. "Sweet, calming, good, after stress." Selara took one slowly. The scent was strong, warm sugar, soft spice. She bit into it cautiously. Her eyes widened. "This is very pleasant. This is very pleasant. This. Parker grinned. "That's the point." Marcus watched from across the table, hiding a smile behind his cup. Seeing Selara relax, even slightly, felt like a small victory. For the first time that day, Selara didn't feel like a political pawn. She felt like part of something human. After the meal, the lights dimmed as the ship entered rest cycle. Selara walked the hallway alone, thinking. She had seen something today she never expected. A crew that respected her, even though she came from a rival empire. A captain who defended her right to choose. People who treated her as a guest, not an assigned object. The empire had sent her to humiliate humans. But humans had done the opposite. They had given her dignity. She stopped at a window overlooking the stars again. Her reflection stared back. An officer, unsure of her place in the universe for the first time. Footsteps approached softly. Marcus stood beside her. "Can't sleep?" "Varkathi do not rest as often as humans," she said. "But yes, I am thinking." He nodded quietly. "About your empire?" About everything, she admitted. My orders, the attack, my future, and why humans are like this. Marcus smiled lightly. Like what? Unexpected. She said simply. They stood in silence for a moment, watching the distant glow of nebula light. Finally, Saylara said, Captain Hale, until I understand the truth, I will stay on this ship. I will help however I can. Marcus extended a hand. Then we're allies. She looked at his hand, then placed hers in his. Firm and sure. At least for now, she said. But deep inside, something had already changed. A thread of trust had begun to form, small, fragile, but real. And neither of them knew how important that trust would soon become. 3 days passed since the attack on the Galactic Council, and the Aurora continued to circle the quiet side of the Council planet. The crew repaired damaged panels, cleaned burned circuits, and checked every system one by one. Even though the danger had faded, a heavy tension remained in the air. Everyone knew one thing. The Iron Mandate, the extremist Varkathi faction, would not stop here. And Commander Saylara Vesh knew it better than anyone. She sat alone in one of the observation rooms, studying a floating hollow map of the Empire's border zones. Her fingers brushed across star routes, military outposts, and secret transit paths she had memorized since childhood. Her mind was sharp, but unsettled. Her empire was in danger. Humanity was in danger, and she was caught between both. The door opened softly behind her. Commander Vesh, Marcus said gently. You're up early. Saylara didn't look up. Varkathi do not require as much sleep. See. Marcus stepped beside her, staring at the glowing map. Trying to find their next move? Yes, she admitted. She turned toward him, her expression serious. The Iron Mandate will not stop with a council attack. Their goal is larger. They want chaos across the region. They want to show that the Empire is strong, and that humanity is too weak for the council. Number 4. Number 4. Number 4. Number 4. Number 4. Number 4. Marcus nodded slowly. And if they succeed, they push the galaxy into fear, and then demand the Empire take control. Exactly, Saylara said. They want to rebuild the old power. But the Empire leadership wouldn't support that, right? Marcus asked. Saylara hesitated. I want to believe that. But I do not know anymore. Oh. Marcus placed his hands behind his back, taking a long breath. Then we need information. Proof. Something to show the council who is behind this. Saylara studied him. You want to act? We have to, Marcus said quietly. She looked back at the holomap. Something inside her settled. Then, I will help. A plan for truth. The command room filled with soft light as the senior crew gathered around the central holo table. Saylara stood beside Marcus, her posture straight and calm. The crew listened closely. Many had never worked with a Varkathi officer before, but her quiet confidence was earning respect. Marcus tapped the table, bringing up a cluster of red dots. These are mandate activity sites from the last year. Parker folded her arms. Looks scattered. That's the point, Marcus said. To confuse us. Saylara stepped forward. But it is not random. See here. She highlighted 3 small routes. These paths are supply lines. Old ones. Ones only certain commanders know. Rafi blinked. How do you know? I trained in these routes since I was young, she said simply. They are used for troop movements during emergencies. Marcus looked interested. So the Mandate has access to old military infrastructure? Yes, Saylara said. Which means someone with high authority is helping them. The room went still. Do you know who? Parker asked. Saylara shook her head slowly. Not yet. But there is a base here. She pointed to a quiet star on the far border. Fort Koresh. Officially abandoned. But mandate signals have flickered nearby. Marcus leaned closer. You think they're using it? I am certain of it. Marcus straightened. Then we go there. Parker's eyes widened. Captain, you want us to fly into a possible enemy base? We're not fighting, Marcus said. We're gathering proof, Salara added. And we can do it safely if we approach quietly. The mandate does not expect a small diplomatic ship. Marcus glanced at her with a faint smile. Good thing Aurora looks boring. Salara blinked at him. This ship does not look boring. Lows. Marcus chuckled. Trust me. In the galaxy, boring is our best camouflage. The journey. The Aurora slipped from orbit and jumped into deep space. Stars stretched into lines as the ship entered, hyperspeed, humming gently. Inside the ship, the crew moved with quiet purpose, checking scans, adjusting navigation, and preparing for a stealth mission none of them had expected to face. Salara stood near the main window, watching the star lanes blur by. Marcus approached her. Is this difficult for you? He asked softly. She didn't pretend not to understand. You mean working against my own empire? Marcus nodded. Salara placed a hand against the cool window. I serve honor, Captain. Not politics. The Iron Mandate seeks destruction, not strength. If I stop them, I protect the true empire. Marcus considered her words. You're braver than you think. She looked at him quietly. I do not feel brave. That's usually how bravery works, Marcus said with a gentle smile. She didn't smile back, but her eyes softened. Fort Koresh. Hours later, the Aurora dropped out of hyperspeed near a lonely star. Fort Koresh appeared in the distance, an old Varkathi outpost built into a lifeless moon. Its outer walls were dark, its landing pads dusty, its signals faint. To anyone else, it looked abandoned. But Salara saw the truth immediately. Look at the energy readings, she said. Low but steady. Hidden power cores. Parker frowned. They're masking it? Yes, Salara said. That is mandate technology. Marcus exhaled. Then we're in the right place. He turned to the crew. We keep our distance. No landing. We get close enough to scan their transmissions. Then get out. Hour. We get our due. I'm water video. Edda's ride. 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 The crew went to work. Systems hummed, screens flickered, and data flowed across the monitors. Salara stood beside Parker, guiding her through Varkathi encryption patterns. Suddenly, Parker's eyes widened. Captain, we're picking up communication logs. Marcus leaned forward. From who? Salara's voice lowered. From inside the Empire. The room froze. Parker brought up the logs. It's encrypted. But if we combine Salara's codes with ours, Salara finished her sentence quietly. We can unlock it. She tapped several sequences. The screen blinked, then displayed a set of messages. Marcus read them slowly. Mandate command. Proceed with Phase 2. Ensure, Council blames, humans. Do not fail. Response. Understood. High Counselor Devek will cover our involvement. Marcus whispered. A High Counselor. One of the top leaders of your empire. Salara felt her chest tighten. No. Devek is respected. Trusted. This cannot be. But the proof was right there, cold, digital, undeniable. Parker said softly. This is enough to show the Galactic Council everything. Marcus nodded. And stop a war. Salara stared at the messages, her heart heavy with betrayal. A High Counselor helping extremists? Attacking a neutral world? Risking her life? Marcus touched her shoulder lightly. Commander, I'm sorry. She had been raised to trust her leaders. Now she saw the truth. Not all leaders deserved trust. But she also saw something else human standing beside her, offering support instead of blame. Slowly, she squared her shoulders. We must take this evidence home. The mandate must be revealed. Marcus smiled faintly. Then let's go. But before the Aurora could turn away, a warning alarm screamed. Rafi shouted, "Captain! 3 ships approaching fast." Marcus's eyes widened. Mandate ships? No, Rafi said, paling. Varkathi military ships. Sailara's heart dropped. They must have detected our scan. They think we are spies. Marcus moved quickly. Helm, jump us out of here. The ship shook as energy pulses fired nearby, though none hit. The crew scrambled, fingers flying over controls. Sailara turned to Marcus. Captain, they will chase us. The moment we move, they will track our hyperjump. Marcus glanced at her, worry in his eyes. You have an idea? Yes, she said, voice firm. A risky one. What is it? She stepped closer. Let me send a false signal. A Varkathi authorization code. It will tell them your ship carries a Varkathi officer on approved inspection. Marcus raised a brow. Will they believe it? For a moment, she said. A moment is all we need. Marcus nodded. Do it. Sailara moved to the console, fingers dancing across the keys. Her voice deepened into formal command tone. Sending code now. The mandate ships paused. The military ships slowed their pursuit. The space around them went still. Parker whispered, It worked. Marcus gave the order immediately. Jump. The Aurora shot into hyperspeed, leaving the danger behind. Enlestify. Inframiter. Enlestify. Are UZY. Enlestify. Are UZY. Enlestify. As the stars stretched around them, Marcus turned to Sailara. You saved us. Sailara exhaled slowly. I only delayed them. They will know soon. But by then, Marcus said, we'll be back at the Galactic Council. With proof. Sailara nodded, though her mind was still heavy with the truth she now carried. Her empire was divided. Her leaders were corrupt. And she had chosen a different path. Not because she hated her people, but because she finally understood what honor truly meant. She stood tall beside Marcus, ready for whatever came next. And the galaxy, though it didn't know it yet, was about to change forever. The Aurora flew through hyperspace like a silver arrow, its engines glowing soft blue. The crew moved fast but carefully, double-checking every system as they approached the Galactic Council planet again. The truth they carried proof of the Iron Mandate, and the corrupt High Counselor felt heavier than any physical cargo. Sailara Vesh stood near the main window, her arms crossed, her expression controlled but tense. She had always believed the Varkathi Empire was strict but honorable. She had believed their leaders served with duty and discipline. Now she knew the truth. Some leaders had lost their way. Marcus Hale stood beside her quietly. He didn't interrupt her thoughts. You ready for this? Marcus finally asked. Sailara inhaled deeply. Ready or not, the truth must be spoken. Marcus nodded. We'll do it together. A soft alarm signaled their arrival, and stars reformed around the ship. The Council planet came into view, still damaged from the recent attack, its atmosphere stained with thin streaks of smoke, its orbital docks flickering with repair lights. The Aurora received clearance after a brief scan, and the ship descended toward the main landing platform. Sailara straightened her uniform, tying her braid tighter. Marcus adjusted his captain's jacket. This time, they were not entering the Council as strangers. They were entering as witnesses. The Council gathers. The Grand Hall had been repaired enough to hold an emergency meeting. Delegates filled the curved seats again. But the energy was different now. Tense. Watchful. Uncertain. Whispers rippled as Sailara walked in beside Marcus. That's the Varkathi officer. She survived the attack? She's with the humans? What is happening? Sailara ignored the murmurs, focusing on the long, glowing table in the center of the room. Marcus stepped forward and placed a small data crystal on the council device. The High Speaker of the council, a calm, elderly being with smooth blue skin, leaned forward. "Captain Hale," the speaker said, "you requested an urgent hearing. What have you brought us?" Marcus gave a short bow. He glanced at Saylara, giving her the chance to speak or step back. She stepped forward. "This evidence concerns the attack on this hall 3 days ago," she said clearly, "and the Varkathi Empire." The room erupted in mutters. The Varkathi delegation stiffened. High Marshal Zorvan Kathul, the same man who had tried to humiliate the humans earlier, glared at her. Saylara raised the data crystal. "This information proves that the attack was not done by humans. It was not done by any outside group." Sighed. Silence fell instantly. "It was done," Saylara continued, "by extremists within my own empire, the Iron Mandate. And they were assisted by a high official, Councillor Devek." The hall exploded with shocked voices. Marcus projected the decrypted messages into the air. The words shimmered large and undeniable. Delegates leaned forward, reading with wide eyes. Mandate command: ensure the council blames humans. High Councillor Devek will cover our involvement. Whispers turned into outrage. High Marshal Kathul slammed his hand on the table. "This is impossible. Lies. Fabrication." Saylara turned toward him sharply. "Do not insult this council. I know these codes. I know these roots. I know the truth." Crease 9. Kathul stepped forward, anger twisting his expression. "You dare accuse your own empire?" Saylara didn't move back. "I accuse only those who betrayed our honor." The hall went completely silent. The truth unfolds. The High Speaker reviewed the messages in stunned silence. Then, he spoke slowly, with deep gravity. "This is serious evidence." Kathul tried to protest again. "She is lying to protect the humans." Saylara met his eyes. "If I wished to protect humans, I would have remained silent. Instead, I risk exile, or worse." Marcus stepped beside her. She chose truth over fear. Humanity stands with her. The High Speaker raised a hand. "Let the evidence speak for itself. We will contact the Varkathi leadership immediately." An assistant hurried to activate the long-range communication relay. A giant hologram flickered to life, showing the Varkathi Capital Council chamber. 3 senior leaders appeared stern, armored, dignified. They had clearly not expected this call. Saylara bowed deeply. "Honored leaders, the Iron Mandate has acted against the Council. And against me." She transmitted the data. The Varkathi leaders read the messages, their hardened faces tightening. One leader clenched his jaw. Another lowered her head in shame. Finally, the central leader spoke. "These messages, they are real." Gasps filled the galactic hall. Kathul's face went pale. The Varkathi leader continued, voice heavy. "High Councillor Devek has disappeared from our capital. He likely fled to join the extremists. We will pursue him immediately." Saylara lowered her eyes. "Thank you, honored leaders. The council deserves transparency." The leader nodded. "Your actions bring honor to our people, Commander. You stood for truth when others hid in shadows." The hologram faded. Kathul slowly sank into his seat. Defeated. Humanity rises. After the call ended, the High Speaker turned to Marcus. "Captain Hale, humanity has shown great responsibility. You uncovered a conspiracy, protected the Council, and acted with restraint. The entire galaxy has witnessed this." Marcus bowed slightly. "Humanity only seeks cooperation." The speaker smiled. "You have proven worthy of trust." Then he addressed the entire chamber. "Let it be known," the High Speaker announced, "that humanity shall be granted elevated status within the Galactic Council full membership, with a respected voice among all species." The hall erupted in applause. Saylara watched the humans cheer and felt something warm settle in her chest. She had been sent to them as an insult, as a symbol of mockery. But now humanity stood taller than ever. Marcus turned to her. "You helped make this happen." Saylara shook her head slowly. "We did this together. A new path." When the meeting ended, Saylara found herself walking alone down one of the quiet council corridors. Her mind felt clearer than it had in many years. The empire she loved still existed, but it was changing. It had been shaken, awake. And she was changing too. Footsteps approached behind her. "Marcus." "Hey," he said softly. "You slipped out fast." Saylara smiled faintly. "I needed to think." "About going back to the Empire?" Marcus asked. Saylara looked out a window at the swirling nebula beyond the station. "Yes, and no." He waited patiently. "At first," she said, "I believed I had to return. To face my leaders. To defend my honor. But now, I think my path is different." Marcus stepped closer. "What path is that?" "Grow." Saylara turned to him, eyes steady and warm. "The path where I choose where I belong, not where others assign me." Marcus nodded gently. "And where do you belong?" She took a soft breath. "With the people who treated me as equal. With the crew that trusted me. With those who stood at my side. When my own empire turned against honor." She looked directly at him. "I want to continue serving with your ship, Captain Hale, if you will have me." Marcus's smile grew slowly, bright and proud. "Commander, we would be honored." For a moment, neither spoke. But something deep and steady passed between them. Respect, trust, and a connection formed through danger and truth. Legacy. Weeks later, the Aurora departed the Council planet again, this time as an official representative vessel of a fully recognized human member of galactic society. The crew stood proudly at their stations. Saylara stood among them, wearing a modified uniform that mixed human design with Varkathi colors. She wasn't a gift. She wasn't a symbol of mockery. She wasn't a political pawn. She was an officer, a bridge between two species, a leader. And her journey with humanity was only beginning. The ship rose into the stars, carrying new hope, new alliances, and a future born from courage and honesty. As the Aurora jumped into hyperspeed, Saylara allowed herself one last thought. The galaxy had tried to divide them. Instead, it had united them. And somewhere beyond the stars, the next chapter waited.